What's up guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to paint your wheels the right way to get the best results. This isn't going to be like the easiest process where you just leave them on the wheel, put a trash bag over the brake and put like note cards in the tire. I'm going to show you how to do it the right way so that the paint sticks and bonds and turns out the best. I've been painting for a while, so using spray paint for a while, and I've kind of figured out like the best way to do it, the best clear coat and stuff like that. I've also watched a bunch of videos online on how to paint wheels, and I've kind of just come up with the best way to do it to get the best results just from kind of combining different methods and things like that. This is them already painted because I recorded an intro before I painted them and then I accidentally deleted it, so here's this. But I decided to go with bronze. They were silver before, and you can see it turned out pretty much perfect. I didn't do 2 coats of clear coat, so it's not as glossy as it could have been because it's kind of like a satin type finish I've kind of seen on bronze wheels. I kind of tried to mimic, but the clear coat that I'm using is the best clear coat you can possibly use without using a spray gun, and it is Spray Max 2K Clear. I'll leave a link to all the things I use in the description because I got all these things on Amazon. But this is a 2-part clear where you take this red thing and pop it in the bottom there, and it mixes the hardener with the clear coat, so it's a lot harder and shinier than just a store-bought clear coat, and it's also self-leveling, so it'll kind of level out the orange peel if you use several coats, and it'll be very glossy. And this is the primer that I'm using. I was going to do filler primer on the curb rash, but I ended up just sanding that off, and I just used this. This stuff worked great. It's black primer because I wanted it to be like a darker base coat underneath the color. So that's what I used for the primer. And then here's the color I'm using. It's just Rust-Oleum Bronze Metallic. It's kind of meant for like outdoorsy type stuff. Like you can see that light. I don't know if I completely love the color, but that's what I ended up using because I kind of wanted to go with bronze. And I'll show you how to use the clear coat and all that stuff when the time comes. But this is definitely the best process. The video might seem a little weird because I explained all this stuff in the intro, and then I kind of changed some stuff as I went, but I was gonna like mask off the wheels, and I ended up not doing that. The way that I ended up doing it was jacking up the whole car on 4 jack stands and taking all 4 of the wheels off just to do them all at once. You could do 1 at a time, 2 at a time, however you want to do it. If you take off more than 1 at a time, mark where your tires go, so you know you put them back in the same spot so you don't get a weird rotation. And I just marked mine. If you've had them on for quite a while, about like 10,000 miles or so, you could go ahead and do a rotation. And I just used chalk to mark mine. I put them back where they went, but if your tires are used, you could save money on a rotation by just doing it now if you're taking all 4 of them off. And the way you do a rotation is you take the front 2 tires and move them straight back. And then the fronts, you bring them forward and cross them. So the left front will go to the left rear, right front will go to the right rear, but then you have the left front, or the left rear will go to the right front, and the right rear will go to the left front, and that's how you do a tire rotation if you want to go ahead and do that. But I just put them back where they go and just left my car in jack stands overnight so that they could dry. But that's pretty much what I did, just so I could do a thorough process on all 4 wheels at once. And I would recommend doing that because this clear coat, I used this clear coat, just 1 bottle is 1 coat on all 4 wheels. So you could get 2 of these cans and do 2 coats on all 4 wheels because this stuff hardens if you leave it for more than 2 days. So I'd recommend just using 1 can all at once. So that's another reason I did all 4 at once. So go ahead and jack your car up and take all the wheels off, and we'll get started with cleaning them and sanding them. Once all your wheels are off, it'll be time to clean them. They don't have to be completely spotless, just get all the dirt off because we'll be sanding them after this. I'm just going to be using some wheel cleaner, and then I'll scrub them with some Dawn dish soap with a wheel brush just to get all the extra grease off. And remember to pop out your center caps so you don't end up painting them, and you can kind of get clean down inside that little area so the paint will stick in there. So I'm just going to be using a hose, not even a pressure washer or anything. And make sure you also clean your tire, because you don't want any tire shine or anything on there, because we will be taping that off, and you want to make sure that the tape will stick and not like peel off and you get paint on your tire, which really wouldn't be that hard to remove anyways. But I'm going to go ahead and clean these all up, and then I'll show you the next step for sanding. So I went ahead and put these sheets down to keep my garage floor from getting covered in paint. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding. Kind of have that farther away from the side, but what I'm going to be doing for sanding is I have this orbital sander here that I'm going to be using. This has 320 grit sandpaper on it, and this is what I'm going to use to sand the curb rash and scratches in it. And then after that, I'll go around with this 600 grit just to kind of help get that first layer off and all the flat parts. And then I'm going to take the 400 grit right here, that's just flat sandpaper I'll use with my hand, and getting all the crevices and areas inside the wheel. And then I'm also going to use this metal wire brush to get down inside of the holes here and around the valve stem, because the previous owner plasti dipped these wheels, so they have plasti dip down inside little places like that. So I'm going to use this metal wire brush to get that out. So I'm going to go ahead and start sanding. I'm not going to video this part because it's going to take way too long, but I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then we'll be ready to lay down the filler primer. So all of the wheels have been sanded. I ended up just using just 320 grit sandpaper all the way around, and I didn't like change it with the 600 or 400 or anything like that, because the 320 seemed like it would be about right and be too hard to get the other ones to actually get through the clear coat. So they're all done. I cleaned them off with a wet microfiber, and then I went back around with a paper towel and isopropyl alcohol. You will definitely want to do that to make sure that they're clean of anything like finger oils or anything that's left on there, and don't touch them until you paint them. And I also sprayed them off with compressed air to make sure they're dry and there's no dust on them. So they are all ready to be painted. So now what I'm going to do is tape them off. So I got all the wheels masked off. I ended up not using tape because I was having trouble getting it to stick. So I kind of adapted the method, like the note card method. I'd seen a lot of people use the note cards, but they kind of stick up at an angle like this from the wheel. And then you can't get down inside the lip, or I couldn't spray this area here. So that's why I wasn't going to use that, because it wasn't going to look good, because there'd be a little silver part like underneath there. But then I realized I could just use paper and it would bend over. So I just cut a bunch of pieces of paper in half and stuck them all in there. So now I can get the lip of the wheel and in here, and it also covers the tread enough to where I don't have to do the tread either. And it's all good. That was a lot easier than masking off the whole tire, so I would recommend doing this. And then I also taped off all the valve stems and took the center caps out, and I kind of cleaned these with a metal wire brush, like in a drill. And then that one I showed at the beginning of the video. And then they're all cleaned with isopropyl alcohol and sanded, so they're all ready to go. I'm just going to skip the filler primer because I don't really care to go to that much effort just to get rid of the curb rash, and it wouldn't even be perfect to just make it look better. So I'm just going to start straight with this sandable primer. I'm probably not even going to sand it. I'm just going to get this primer on there just so it has a base layer that's dark. And I'll just start with one light coat, then probably just one thick coat, and then let it dry for 10 minutes. And then we'll put on the base coat of the actual color, and then I'll kind of just keep doing coats until the color looks good, and then we'll do the clear coat. And if there is one tip I can give you for this, just from my experience from spray painting and videos and everything, the most important thing is having patience, because if you don't wait enough in between each coat, you'll get runs, it won't stick, it'll kind of like bubble up and like beat up. And just take your time with the prep work. It's all in the prep work. Like, you have to have like sand every inch of the wheel, make sure that it's clean, no dust, make sure everything's perfect how you want it before, because it'll be harder to go back and change it once you've already started. So have patience, do everything correct the first time, and it'll turn out a lot better than it would if you rushed it. So that's why I like taking the wheels off, doing everything step by step instead of just throwing note cards in there and painting on the gloss clear coat. Like that's, it'll look good at first, but it's not going to last, and you won't get as good results as this. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the primer, and then I'll kind of just see how that goes after I put on the first few coats. Another thing that you will want to do before sanding is get your paint started heating up. And the reason you do this is it makes it spray out of the can a lot smoother and in like smaller particles. So it'll go onto the wheel smoother and be more shiny, and you won't have as much orange peel and bumps. So the way you do this is get hot water and let the can sit in the hot water. I say as hot as the sink would go. And then I have this heater blowing on it to keep it warm. And then just have all of the paint in here, sitting in here, like the water. Like you'll be able to put your finger in it. You don't want it like boiling or anything. But it's hot water, and that'll keep your paint like, it'll make it more runny in the can, and it sprays out a lot better this way. So do that before you paint. I'm gonna do it before I sand so they can start warming up. And then I'll probably put more hot water in there right before I do it just to make sure they're warm. So now let's go ahead and start sanding. So if you're using a heater, don't have it outside where you're painting, because you don't want heater where there's gonna be like the aerosol paint in the air, because that could be a fire hazard. So that's why I'm doing this inside. So here's the first light coat. You can see it just has a little dusting on it to make sure that it bonds. And make sure that you shake your can for a minute. That helps a lot with the way it comes out. So shake your can a lot, make sure that it gets all nice and mixed up. And after this very, very light coat, I'm just gonna let it sit for 5 minutes, but after you do a full thick coat, let it sit for 10 minutes before you do the next coat. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let this dry a little bit and then put on the second coat. So the primer is all dried. I did 3 coats, and you can see all around, just got full coverage of everywhere. So now I'm going to start laying down the bronze. They are inside heating up right now, but I'm going to go ahead and lay that down, do a light layer first, and then do a second layer with full coverage, and then a third layer with full coverage, and I'll see if I need to go farther from there. But if you are using a metallic color, make sure that you keep your distance from the wheel, because if you get too close, the metallic will get concentrated in one spot and it won't look even. So make sure you stay far away and just do nice even strokes all the way around. Don't focus on one spot. Just keep the speed going, keep it moving, and that'll get you a nice even finish instead of having kind of like splotchiness. So make sure you do that, and I'm going to go ahead and get the first light layer put on. So here's the first coat. It kind of looks a little bit lighter than I want to. You can see here I sprayed it on thicker. So those are darker than the ones here. So I'll have to see. I'm going to try to, instead of doing like far away, I'm just going to try to get nice up close and get it nice and glossy when it first gets on there. And I think that'll make it look a little bit darker, but let's go ahead and spray on the second coat. So I sprayed on the third and last coat without the clear coat, and the color is a little bit lighter than I was hoping, but it'll be okay because I was kind of getting tired of the silver. So we'll just see if this looks good, and if not, I'm probably going to do a graphite type color, so like a dark metallic gray, and that's probably what I'll go with. After I kind of run this for a little bit, I'll probably just resand them or something, or just get new wheels. I don't know. But that's what the color looks like. And I'm going to let this dry for about probably 15 to 20 minutes, and then I will show you how to do the clear coat, those 2 bottles over there, and I'll show you how to mix it and put it on. I might only need 1 bottle of clear coat now that I'm kind of seeing how this is, how much it takes to spray each wheel. But I'm going to give it about 20 minutes to make sure that they all dry enough before I put the clear coat on. And then I'll put the clear coat on and let that dry for overnight, and then I'll put them on tomorrow and show you what it looks like. So I've let the wheels dry for about 15 minutes, and you can see they kind of have a satin finish. So I'm going to show you how to use the Spray Max 2K Clear that's in this package right here. I'll open it. So I'm probably only going to use 1 can because I was able to kind of do the last coat with just 1 can. So probably just going to use 1 can of this, and that's how I'll just do 1 really thick coat because I don't know. We'll see how I feel after I get it on there, if I feel like I got everything. But you can see it has this little red thing here, and what you do is you'll flip the can over like this, take the red thing, put it here, and you'll just push that down in there, just slam it down, push it in there. You'll feel it pop, and that mixes the hardener in with the actual clear coat itself. And let's see if it tells you. Yeah, see right here. So it tells you to shake for 2 minutes before you puncture it and 2 minutes after you puncture it. So I'm going to do that because that's what it says, and it says say 10 inches away. That's probably about how close I'll be. I might get a little closer to make it more glossy. You just want to make sure it doesn't run. And if you are using this, make sure that you have a respirator. I have this 3M respirator here because this stuff is a lot more harmful than regular spray paint. You should wear a respirator with regular spray paint anyways, but definitely wear one with this stuff because this stuff can be very harmful. And yeah, I mean, obviously I can't legally buy spray paint anyways, but this stuff, like, I don't even know if this can be sold in stores and stuff. You can see it's got warnings all over it. So be careful when using this stuff. Make sure in a well-ventilated area. I have my garage open and a door open to make sure that it all vents out. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first coat of this, and I'll show you what it looks like and see if we need any more coats. So I laid down the clear coat. I'm only going to do 1 layer so I can save the other can, but you can see it is super glossy, and it even gets better because it's a self-leveling clear. So it kind of gets rid of the orange peel itself, and it's on wheels, so you know, orange peel doesn't matter as much. But I actually think that the clear coat made the color like almost exactly how I wanted it, because it made it like deeper and a little bit more darker. So I think it's actually turned out just about perfect, exactly how I wanted it now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out all of the paper so it doesn't dry into the clear. And then I'll also take the tape off the valve stem so none of that dries on. And then I'll just let them dry overnight, and then I'll put them on tomorrow. So here's all the paper pulled out. You can see them with the tire, and looks pretty good. I'm sure it'll look okay on the car. We'll have to see once I put them on, but you can see how glossy they are. Like, that is better than a factory finish, because I love this clear coat. It always just turns out super glossy. Just make sure you're not too far away and it'll get super glossy like that. So it looks pretty good. I might switch the color up eventually, or just leave them bronze until I get new wheels. We will see. But that's that. I'm going to go ahead and let these dry and overnight to make sure that they are completely hardened and I can touch them. And then tomorrow morning I will put them on the car and video that whole process. So the wheels are dry, so I'm going to go ahead and put them on and lower the car and show you what they look like. So here it is, all finished. It's all lowered, wheels are torqued, and that's what they look like. I'm not completely sure how I feel about it yet. I don't know. I'm gonna do tire letters on these tires and wheels, and we'll see how it looks then, but I don't know. I'm not in love with it right now. I was just kind of getting tired of the silver, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do like a dark gray or something if I end up not liking this with tire letters too, but that's it. They turned out perfect. The clear coat and paint is all smooth. It's all bonded on there. So if you have a color you like, this is definitely the best way to do it because they turn out absolutely perfect. And that's pretty much it. I put a little bit of tire shine on there. Make sure you torque your wheels, go all the way around and all that. But that's how you paint your wheels with the best method for lasting the longest and looking the best. So please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.